How's it going, guys? I recently beat Sonic Wave, which is the last level of the RGB trilogy. R standing for red, which was Yatagarasu. Green standing for the green level, which is Erebus, the G. And then the blue level, which is Sonic Wave, which I just recently completed. I started doing this a very long time ago. Like 2 years ago, I promised to beat Yata. And at the time, I thought, I'm gonna try to do all of the RGB. And it wasn't until this year that I started to actually take it seriously. I announced my next demon being Yatagarasu on July 4th, 2023, before 2.2 even came out. I announced to the world I was gonna do it. This year, I just started taking my Geometry Dash gaming seriously again. So I beat Yata. Took me a long time. I took a big break from it, but then I went back and started doing it really hard until I beat it. Beat Erebus in like a month, but that's the easiest of them. And then came to beat Sonic Wave. And Sonic Wave, I worked hard on this level, man. Look at all these streams. And all of these streams, all 31 of them, took place over the course of 2 months. I started this on August 11th, 2025. 2 months of streaming, which is the most amount of streams in a short period of time that I've ever done. I worked hard on this level, man. I've always wanted to beat this level. I think it's a fantastic level. I always dreamed of beating this level. When Sonic's first verified this level 8 years ago on November 26, 2016, I think he verified it before that. I'm not sure. He verified this level and it was just epic because Riot had 96% and Sonic's had 88% or something. And then 6 days after he got 88%, he ended up verifying it, even though Sonic's had said he was gonna let Riot be the verifier. So there was something that happened there, but then it just ended up Sonic's got to upload it on his profile and whatever. It's a piece of history. But ever since that race and that moment happened and this level was verified, I always dreamed. I was like, imagine if I was good enough to beat Sonic Wave. This is like way back in 2016, 2017. I always thought I'll never be able to do that, and that's fine. I'll just daydream about it. And, you know, I'm just gonna keep on enjoying Geometry Dash. Because I was like 30 at the time. I was like 29 maybe. And I was like, I'm getting pretty old for this already. I'll never be able to do it. It's too late. I'm over the hill, son. I'm too much of a geezer. But at the ripe age of 39, I did it. So today, we're going to be announcing the new hardest demon that I've ever done. But you know what? I have a special guest. I'm not going to be the one announcing it. I'll be right back. Hey, gotta go fast. It's me, Sonic. Oh, I like chili dogs. Ooh, let's go fast, guys. And you know how I like going fast? Well, I like going fast in my favorite extreme demon in Geometry Dash, Sonic Wave. Hey, gotta go fast. Yeah. Well, I don't think I sounded like Sonic very well there. I started streaming on August 11th, 2025. And the best I was able to get on this level, getting all the way to these things called the headbangers. If you don't know what the headbangers are, well, you'll see. That is very hard. So that was the best, 44.37%. I got to the headbangers, and that's as far as I got on the first stream, which is actually pretty impressive considering I only made it to the wave like a few times. Because the beginning of this level is so hard. This first click right here, this yellow orb, that yellow orb right there is so insanely hard. And sometimes I would die like 6 times there at the beginning before I'd even get beyond it. It's crazy, man. With that, it's the orb of doom, and it sucks and it stalls and it makes you frustrated before you even start the level. The rest of the beginning of the level's chill, man. The ship it's a little challenging. You got to know how to do some inputs here. You know, a little bit of clicks going through those gates, but it's really not that bad. You die sometimes you don't. This click after that's a little micro click, and then you get to the ball. The ball! I died so many times to this ball, guys. So many. You eventually get into a rhythm, and I was getting more and more consistent, but that is insane. Some players that are wave carried, that are really good at the wave, but maybe not other things, they find the hardest part of Sonic Wave is actually the ball. I didn't find that. I mean, for me, it was clearly the wave, because I am bad at the wave, or at least I was until I beat this level. But man, this first wave is so insanely hard right here. That's a choke point right at the drop there because it's such a tight corridor. And there's all sorts of choke points. This corridor is really tight too. There's so many hard parts. And then it chills out a little bit. And then the headbangers were a choke point for a while, but I eventually was pretty good at getting into the rhythm. And then the worst choke point of them all right here. Boom, 48%. That is a 60 hertz frame perfect. And you would just die there. You just have to accept that you're gonna die to 48. You just accept it. And then that's not really a choke. Well, this part is a bit of a choke point. The second wave is really hard. This part here, it's a little easy. And then this part is just a really awkward pattern. I was pretty good at it though. Better than a lot of other people are at it, because a lot of people die there all the time. I was a lot more consistent than normal. It's weird. I really jived with that part. And then of course, this part I died to a couple times. It was really sad. No, I died here once. It was really, really sad. And the beginning of the third wave is so stressful because there's spikes in the corridor there and it's way tighter than it looks. However, it gets a little bit easier here, but even though it's easier, you're so stressed when you get here. Oh my God, it's so stressful. So stressful. Huh? So I got to 44% on the first stream and I thought, pretty good. I'm making great progress. I'm sure I'll beat this very soon. Actually, I didn't think that. So a few streams later, I got to 48%. I finally made it past these pesky headbangers, man. It was the first time. Those are so stressful to get through. And I was freaking out like, what? Dang, I got to the choke point. We finally got to the choke point. Okay, 48%. Next stream, I got to 49%. Why? Why? You serious? Why? Why? And then I got to 65%, which actually was a bit of a choke. I finally made it past that choke point, and I was freaking out here. I was freaking out. Whoa, 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 whoa! All over the place, but I somehow still made it through there. Somehow. But I was bricking it, man. This is my first time here. I was so nervous. What am I gonna do? No way. I'm gonna miss an input is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna miss an input at the free part. That part's pretty free if you know what you're doing. And eventually I'd learn a better pathway to do. In my final completion, I learned a better pathway where you can skip a bunch of orbs so that I wouldn't die there. And I never really died there. So that was great. 65% though. I made it past the first wave finally. And then something crazy happened. The next stream, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 10th stream in, so keep in mind this took me 31 streams to beat. I got to this cube again, and I was thinking, oh man, I'm crushing it. But just, oh God, I was getting really nervous here, and I was like, wow, how am I doing so well? I shouldn't be this far. How am I getting this far? And then I got to this wave, which is notoriously difficult. And I died here a lot later on, and somehow I fluked it! I fluked this wave. You shouldn't fluke that wave. That is a very unflukable wave, but I fluked it anyways. I was in disbelief at this point. I couldn't even believe. I was like, what am I doing? I made it past the second wave first try. Everyone always told me you're gonna die there like 100 times. I just made it through their first try, and I was freaking out, and I made it through all the hard parts in the third wave. I could have fluked this level, and then boom. Oh my God! I died to 92! How did I fluke that though? I died to 92%. Vortrox, damn you! 92, why? I couldn't just fluke the level. You had to curse my game. But that was amazing though, because you don't just fluke the second wave in Sonic Wave. You don't do it. But I did. I didn't die there as much as other people did, but I had the hardest time getting consistent at the first wave. Even to this day, the first wave still just crushed me. And like some streams, I would barely get past the first wave at all. Even towards the end of my streaming this level, the first wave just was so hard. So I fluked out. I got 92%. And then I kind of stagnated. I didn't make much progress. A bunch of streams. Of course, I wouldn't make it that far. You know, 92, it was a miracle. But it really wasn't, because it really stressed me out. Made me think that people had this expectation that I was going to beat it soon, when I clearly knew it was just a fluke, and I was not going to get that far again for a long time. Until all of a sudden, I did make it that far again. I made it really far into the level. I was like, whoa, I'm on the second wave, and I made it through again, finally. Finally. Amazing. Let's see how this ends up. I died the exact same death. No, and it was so close. No, I just hit the tippy tip. Look, I just barely hit the tippy tip. No, no. 92% again. Vortrox, why? For the second time. This input's not that hard. Look how much space is there. There's a big gap there compared to a lot of the spaces. It's not that bad. The wave after is harder, but I didn't die there. Where you got to go up and down at that section after, it's way harder. And then that was the best attempt I would have for another many streams. I felt a little bit stuck. However, in all of these streams, I was pushing myself and I was slowly but surely, even though like it didn't feel like it at times, getting more and more consistent. And then finally, it happened. After many days of grinding this, 2 whole months. Finally, I pushed myself, getting to the 3rd wave again, ready for success. Yes, going through all those tight sections. Yes, go Eric. I died the same death once, and I died to 92 again for the 3rd time. Why? At that point, I was getting pretty decent at the level, and I was feeling really confident in my skills in Sonic Wave. And so, the next stream is when this happened.
Are you ready for some badassery?
I just beat Sonic Wave! Yeah! We did it! Oh my god! Man, that came out of nowhere! Woo! I can't believe we did it! Oh man! I was so a little shaky at the end there! Woo! Damn son, Sonic Wave! Oh, my new hardest, baby! This was a struggle, son! This was a struggle, son! RGB done! Yatagarasu, Erebus, Sonic Wave! The multi-year project has finished. To be fair, I could have done it within a year. I took a lot of breaks from Yata, but we did it! Sonic Wave! Yo, Aeon, I'm glad you were here. Dude, sick! Oh! Okay, so the attempt count is going to be a lot because I die to the first input a lot. And also it's just Sonic Wave. Each practice run, I die really quick. It's going to be way more than Yata probably. 11,768 plus 18,380. Actually not that bad. 30K almost exactly. It's like 30,048. It's 148. 30,000. Oh yeah, 148. That's right. Okay. 30,148. All right. That's a lot of attempts for a level. All right. That's a lot. So what's next for EVW? Is that it? I finished my dream of doing RGB. Well, I don't think my story's over yet. I think I still got a little bit more left to give, and I think we'll try something a little harder. What a journey the RGB was, and I'll see you guys later. As always, peace.